some of the things that have been happening in government, some very important things that have been happening in government. But before I start, I have to acknowledge the passing of our first female Speaker of the House in Jamaica, Violet Nielsen. And she was an educator before she became the Speaker and went into representational politics. And I think this is really a great example of why representation matters. I remember going into UE and seeing her in the Parliament when I would watch TV, and seeing a woman as the Speaker of the House has a lot of tremendous value, and that's why it's very important that we see women in these leadership roles. And she was the first, she was a trailblazer in that. And so we acknowledge the passing of Violet Nielsen, and the Prime Minister did put out a statement and noted that she was the Speaker when he entered the House, and he also thanked her for her service and acknowledged all the contribution that she has made. In terms of another sad passing, we also had the passing of Beverly Hall Allain, who was a former executive director of the Institute of Jamaica. And she did a lot of work and a lot of research on the influence of West African language on Jamaica's culture. And that type of cultural work is absolutely important. And that's why Minister Grange had this wonderful tribute to acknowledging all the work that she had done in terms of amplifying Jamaican culture. And so we mourn the passing of those two very strong women who have contributed significantly to the development of our country. In terms of the updates that I will give, of course, you always have to give the water updates. We know water and water challenges are a big issue in many communities, and so it's important that we speak about what the government is doing. The Minister with responsibility for water, the Honourable Matthew Samuda, announced several initiatives, especially in relation to more rural areas. He announced a 70,000-gallon tank for Constitution on Hill, a 50,000-gallon tank for Top Road in Mavis Bank, and approximately $100 million water project in Benedict's Height in Bull Bay, and that will benefit over 3,000 residents. There's also a new pipeline that will be installed in Westphalia. Guava Ridge will have a new, their pump station will be upgraded, and there'll also be a new generator for the Long Mountain pump station. In addition to that, there is also more work being done in the forest for the Forest Hill pipeline, and that will be done in August. There's also the $12 billion Rio Cobre water treatment plant, which we've spoken about, which will be able to transfer 15 million gallons of water to benefit approximately 150,000 customers, and also many others who are in the Kingston and St. Andrews, Spanish Town and Portmore areas. So there are lots of water projects that are in the works, and I didn't name all of them. Those are just a few of them. And these signal the administration's commitment to getting water to the people of Jamaica. In terms of public transport reform, it was announced also that there are 16 new routes that will be introduced to the PPV sector, and this is in response to requests from the PPV sector. In addition to that, we're also going to be reintroducing an aged vehicle policy to aid public passenger vehicle operators to upgrade their fleets, and this is directly coming from the transport operators. We obviously have to acknowledge the disruptions that happened earlier this week, and just to note again the release from the Transport Authority, which showed that the conversations are ongoing. There are discussions that are taking place. They have been very fruitful discussions, and that the discussions actually continue. And we're expecting that through these conversations that the issues that have been identified will be able to be solved. In terms of another major project, Cabinet did approve on Monday the construction of a new bridge in Spring Valley, St. Catherine Southwestern. The PM had spoken about this last week, and that was a commitment that he made, and he's keeping that commitment, and Cabinet has approved that. And in terms of garbage trucks, Again, at the start of June, we got 40 new garbage trucks. That's in addition to the 10 that we got in May, and then there were the 50 that we got last year. So in total, it's 100 new garbage trucks that we have been able to acquire. In relation to education, there are concerns in relation to the underperformance of some of our schools and some of our students. And in view of that, the Ministry of Education and Youth is targeting 193 primary and 55 high schools that have been identified as underperforming by the National Education Inspectorate. And what they will be doing is embarking on special interventions with those schools, and so they will be having a summer program for students in those schools to assist in remedial maths and English in particular. And this again speaks to the administration's policy that no child should be left behind. We understand that there are disparities between the performance of schools, and the Ministry of Education and Youth is proactively working to address those issues, and also working through the summer months to provide those services. And so they'll be having numeracy and literacy coaches and other specialists who will work with the institutions and with the students. In relation to food security, and this is the last one I'll do, I have a lot of them, but I have to select them each day because there's a lot of work being done across the public sector. Our Minister of Agriculture and Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, the Honourable Floyd Green, also noted that the government would be embarking on a $91 million farm road improvement project, and that's also very key when we talk about domestic food security. These programs and this work in relation to farm roads is going to benefit 70,000 farmers, and those farmers obviously provide direct and indirect employment and are very important in terms of food security in our country. And so initiatives like that are very welcomed, and we know that he will be implementing these in very short order. So those are the key things I want to point out. Everything that I've pointed out is not the work of the minister alone, obviously. It is the work of very hard-working public servants. And there are a lot of very hard-working public servants in Jamaica. And so when I spend the time to talk about all these successes, what I am saying is that the public service, the public servants, they are working for Jamaica, and they're working very hard for Jamaica, and I acknowledge all of their work. Now, having said all of that, I'm going to move to our main guest today, and as I said, it's the Honourable Robert Nesta Morgan. It's weird to be here introducing him, but you know, things do change, and I really do look forward to his remarks. He is joined by Mr. E.G. Hunter, the CEO of the National Works Agency, and he also has Mr. Varden Downer, Senior Director, Project Implementation in the National Works Agency, with him, and they will be taking you through a lot of the very important work that they are doing. Minister Morgan.
Thank you very much, Dr. Morris Dixon. It's quite a refreshing thing to see someone of a fairer look at the podium. I am very happy by that decision. Okay, good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me at your weekly post-cabinet press briefing. Also want to recognize, as was done by Dr. Morris Dixon, Mr. Downer, and Mr. Hunter. Mr. Downer and Hunter will be doing a PowerPoint presentation to give you some more details, but I would just like to start off by giving you an outline as to where we are with the SPARK program. As we may know, the Shared Prosperity through Accelerated Improvement to our Road Network SPARK project has commenced, and the project owner is the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, with the NWA as the implementing agency. We have critical partners such as the Ministry of Finance and Public Service, Ministry of Local Government and Community Development, all municipal corporations, the Office of the Prime Minister, and the National Water Commission. So far, we have had approval from the Public Sector Investment Program for the Spark program, and the concept has also been approved by PIMC. The contract for proposal studies and analysis is being awarded this week after a national competitive bid, and our schedule for completion of this proposal to the Ministry of Finance is by the end of August, where we hope to get approval from PIMC and Cabinet before the end of September. That's our timeline. The NWA has completed pre-qualification stage in the international bidding process. 8 construction companies responded, and of the 8, 2 were local. So far, 5 international companies have been successful at the pre-qualification stage. And this week, we will be sending out bid proposals to those 5 pre-qualified enterprise construction companies. And these proposals will be for them to bid on the 4 packages that are across the island. And we expect those bid proposals to be returned by mid-August, and then we will seek approval from the Public Procurement Commission as well as Cabinet to award contracts by the end of September this year. These contracts will be for 2 years, with an additional year for defects liability, as well as where the contractor would be carrying out corrective measures if there are challenges with the completed works. We are happy to announce that our CDF-led consultations continue all across the island, and the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development, as well as CDF, continue to work together, attending all of these consultations across constituencies. To date, there have been 24 meetings covering 21 constituencies. We have developed a priority list of roads in several constituencies based on these consultations, and these roads are being subjected to inspection and rapid assessment to determine the preliminary costs to rehabilitate these roads in keeping with the Spark policy mandate. Importantly, we have also sent a list to the National Water Commission to determine the needs and status of water lines on these roads, and preliminary costs will be shared with the CDF to determine the final priority list per constituency for the initial $1 million allocation. So it is split into 2. For the first year, $150 million for members of parliament and constituencies based on the consultation, which is about $10 billion, and then another $10 billion in the first year for national roads, NWA roads, roads that are main roads but are not community roads. And in that vein, the NWA has selected 60 main roads for implementation in this project, and these roads will pass through every constituency in keeping with the policy mandate of the Spark project. The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development is also carrying out a road mapping exercise of all local and community roads. One of the purposes of this road mapping is to tabulate the lengths of these local and community roads in each constituency, and this will be used to determine the allocation of the $10 billion to be spent on local and community roads. These roads will also be integrated into the already established mapped main roads, which is under the control of the NWA, and the maps will be used to form a road register for the government to manage the country's road stock over the next coming years. The NWA has also engaged consultants to undertake a detailed engineering design, scoping and costing of roads scheduled to be repaired under the Spark program. This is significantly advanced for the 60 NWA roads, which are, and the engineering and design will be completed by the end of August this year. For the local community roads, these are being assessed based on the consultative process, based on what is chosen within the consultation, so that may take a little bit more time. I want to say that The Spark program is a priority for the government. There was some concern by local contractors about their inclusion in the process, and I want to assure them. I met with the Incorporated Master Builders Association, and we had very positive conversations, and I assured them that a part of the procurement process will ensure that local contractors are an essential part of the Spark program execution. I'll now turn back over to the lovely Dr. Morris Dixon. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
I believe we now have the presentation, which will be done by E.G. Hunter and Varden Downer. So I'll hand over to both of you.
Thank you, Minister. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. The actual PowerPoint presentation will be done by Mr. Downer. But I just want to set in context the Spark program, certainly from the perspective of us, the technocrats. The government has articulated the need for Spark, which is to improve the island road network, taking it from the position that it's in now up to a different level. It is not a patching program, it's not a pothole repair program. It is actually a rehabilitation program that seeks to improve the quality of a certain number of roads. And what that means is that the cost per kilometer for this undertaking is going to be very different from what we normally do. The other thing from a policy point of view is the government has said that Spark is a 40 billion road program with the possibility of adding an additional 5 billion for associated water supply works in conjunction with the road works. So that is a possibility of spending $45 billion. And the government has said it wants this to be undertaken in a 2-year period. So that is a very ambitious and aggressive program. The capacity of the country to spend $45 billion in 2 years in all parishes and in all constituencies simultaneously posits a very demanding prescription for us, the technocrats, to be able to deliver that. And so what we have done is to sit down, brainstorm, and craft a program that we think will, well, we're optimistic that the program that we have crafted will deliver the result. And importantly, in addition to the very high budget of $45 billion and the aggressive timeline of 2 years, there is no special legislative mechanism by which this program is to be implemented. So it has to be implemented obeying the public investment requirements. It has to be implemented obeying the requirements of the Public Procurement Act and all the other protocols. So if you consider that the average contract of 60 million and over takes on average of about 12 to 15 months to be let, the question is, how are we going to spend $45 billion in 2 years in every constituency, in every parish, and stick within the rules? We think we have done a good job in terms of how we have conceptualized the program, and the PowerPoint presentation will illustrate some of the nuances in terms of how we have organized the program, and we'll take questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let me just direct your attention to the screen. as I try to walk you through. So the vision statement of Spark is to create safe, reliable, and resilient transportation infrastructure that enhances mobility, connectivity, supports economic growth, and improves the quality of life for communities that they serve. This is actually just a map of Jamaica, and just to point out a couple of things, that the main road, the road network in Jamaica is approximately 26,000 kilometers. 55% of those are for parochial roads, approximately 20% for main roads. There's another 16% for housing scheme roads, and there's 6% for farm roads, and then we have a small percentage for toll roads. Just to add that the scheme roads, a number of our schemes have not been taken over by the municipal corporation. So part of the mapping exercise Mr. Hunter spoke about earlier, as well as Minister Morgan, will be to capture those so-called orphan roads and to let them become a part of the completed, accounted for road stock in Jamaica. The Spark program also will not exclude those scheme roads. Once they are actually nominated as part of the process and they make the priority listing that is being done now, then they will repair it as part of the government's effort as well. The Spark, as was said earlier, is a 40 billion plus a 5 billion for waterline undertaking that the government is doing. $20 billion will be spent on what we call local and community roads, and then another 20 billion will be spent on main roads. So that is the game plan. Presently, we are going across the island with the CDF to actually have these consultations where roads are proposed, nominated by communities with their representatives there, and then those are taken on board. There's an assessment done based on need as well as importance of a road, the areas that it serves, including important facilities such as hospitals, schools, etc. And the selection and priority is done based on those criteria that is actually used. Some of the expectations of Spark, it's a whole of government approach, as was said earlier, so it's not primarily an NAA undertaking. NAA is leading the implementation, but all the various arms of government are intimately involved in ensuring that this project is a success. We are ensuring that there's legal compliance, as was said earlier. The project execution will be a 2-year plus a 1-year defects liability period based on the construction contracts that will be awarded later on this year. And of course, there is strong public engagement that is critical to this success. Some of the additional benefits, when we are through, persons will certainly have a better road experience. There will be better socioeconomic conditions. Everybody knows that once your road is better, then certainly you will be able to be happier. You can drive along and not be worrying about your front end, among other things. The infrastructure improvement will include new pavement, new drainage works, sidewalk construction where applicable, retaining walls where necessary, waterline improvement, and ducts for fiber cable as part of the National Broadband Initiative that the government is also pushing. We will also ensure that consultation with NEPA is a critical part of it to ensure that the environmental factors are considered. So as was said earlier, this is not a patching program. This is road rehabilitation, upgrading of the roads. We will not seek to improve the capacity from, say, 2 lanes to 4 lanes, but the existing capacities will be upgraded so that we will have a minimum of 7-year life in keeping with design requirements before we need to go in and to improve the surface again. So some of the prescriptions include what we engineers call mill and overlay, rehabilitation, which means you go below just the asphalt, and reconstruction, which means that you go deeper than just immediately below the asphalt. I did speak about the all-of-government approach already, so I'll skip this one as part of the governance framework. The procurement strategy, as Minister mentioned earlier and Mr. Hunter elaborated on, is an international competitive bid. We have started the process, we are going through, and we are expected that by September, we should in fact have contracts in place. There are actually 4 packages, and as you can see there, the map of Jamaica showing that the 4 packages on the north side of the island, covering the parishes from St. James all the way to Portland, would be 1 package, and the second package would be from include Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Thomas. Another package is St. Catherine and Clarendon, and the final package would be the remaining parishes there. We have structured it this way so that the packages are almost the same in scope for each contractor to be awarded. The next steps as we move along at present we spoke earlier about the selection of roads. This is just showing how the process works, which is the nomination is done by the community. CDF gets it. There's a priority list. We do a rapid assessment, as Minister mentioned earlier, and then we come back, fine-tune that based on the budget that is available, and then we do detailed designs. So that process has begun and is moving on in earnest. This is in respect of the construction contracts. We have gone to pre-qualification. We are moving through. Right now, we are actually requesting proposals from the pre-qualified bidders, and then we will, in fact, be seeking to have the 4 packages awarded later on this year, so works can begin in earnest. Mention was made earlier about the public investment management system, which we are duty-bound to do because this is part of the government's capital program. So we are going through that particular process right now, working very closely with the PIAB, which is a department of the Ministry of Finance. And as soon as we are through, we will get the green light, which will be before these works contracts are awarded, and then we can move ahead. We did mention about the mapping exercise being carried out by the Ministry of Local Government as part of it. Now, before we came trying to answer some of the questions that you may ask. If you may permit me, I'll just go through a couple of them. They may answer the questions before you ask them. How will the project impact local communities and businesses? The project is expected to improve access and mobility for local communities. That's one sort of self-evident. What measures will be taken to minimize disruptions during construction? Like most of our contracts, we will ensure that the works are phased in such a way that there's minimal disruption to communities. But certainly when you are rehabilitating a road, there's no getting away from it. So we have to treat with that. How will the project enhance road safety? Certainly with improved driving surface, persons will not have to be trying to skip potholes. That certainly is sort of self-evident, but we will also ensure that there is sidewalk or sufficient shoulders for some rural areas where pedestrians can be separated from motorists in a safe way so that the roads is actually all-purpose and everybody to use it and not just the motorists. In addition to that, we will be constructing ramps for the sidewalk so that the physically challenged will be able to use the road in a safe way also. Will there be any changes to traffic regulations or speed limits? We do not anticipate that. The speed limits for these localized roads will remain the same, so there will be no changes there. If I may hasten on. Are there any anticipated challenges or risks associated with the project? These are standard risks, for instance, logistics in the contractors getting material and bringing here on a timely basis. One good example are water lines that are usually imported for what we call the ductile iron pipes. Lead time will be required for those to be brought in. In addition to that, the usual rainy weather that we have annually, those are things that could disrupt the road works. Contractors are required, in keeping with the contract, to factor these timelines into their schedule for carrying out the works. How will the projects be managed and overseen? A dedicated project management team led by the National Works Agency will be in place to oversee this. And certainly we will be accountable to Cabinet, the usual oversight entities such as the Parliament, Auditor General, Integrity Commission. As we do with all our projects, we will ensure that there is full compliance with what we do. Will there be opportunities for public input or feedback? Absolutely. Right now we are doing the CDF-led consultation, and Minister Morgan met with us yesterday, and part of the new thrust is to open also a line, which I will not steal the Minister's thunder, for communication, and persons can in fact make their request. So I'll leave him to speak about that some more. Are there any contingency plans in the project that face if there are delays and budget overruns? We are trying our very best to ensure that the budget is tight as is possible. But like with everything, we will have to be agile should there be situations where additional works may be required on this road or that to ensure that there's a good fix. How does the project fit into the government's broader infrastructure strategy? I think that was spoken of earlier. Part of the government's thrust is to improve the infrastructure. What are the long-term maintenance plans when the projects are completed? That would be part of government's requirement to ensure that funding is made available to maintain these roads as we upgrade them. Thank you very much for your time. We'll try and answer any other questions you may have.
All right. Naomi, are there any questions? I liked the innovation of posing the questions and answering them beforehand.
Frequently asked questions, indeed. Thank
These
you,
are
Minister.
busy people and I want to be out of here.
Indeed. All right, so we do have some questions. Lena, a CBM Nationwide Observer, are here, I believe. Let me go then to our Lena colleague.
Good morning, everyone. Sashana Small from the Gleno. The presentation on the Sparks program was pretty clear. It did answer some of the questions that I had, actually. But I have a question. We're in the hurricane season now, and it's been predicted that it's going to be a very active one. So I wanted to know what the NWA is doing to clean our drains, specifically the one at the Sandy Gully drain, because that one is, notorious.
Okay. Yes, we are conscious of the fact that we are in the hurricane season, and that it is a requirement that we prepare ourselves to minimize the impact of what is projected to be an active hurricane season. So we have been provided with some funds in this year's budget, and we carry out a three-prong mitigation undertaking. The hurricane season starts in June, so somewhere between the middle of May towards the middle of June, we carry out the first phase of our mitigation program, which is our drain cleaning. And that is done across all constituency. There has been an allocation of, on average, $1 million per constituency, with a little top-up in some instances, depending on the volume of drains in that particular constituency. So those works are now actively being undertaken. The hurricane season peaks September, October, if you look at the graph. So again, we will do another cycle towards the end, middle of August into the first couple of weeks of September. That will be our second cycle. And then the hurricane season ends the end of November. So whatever has accumulated in the drains between September and the end of November, we will clean in December. So there's a three-cycle process that we undertake for mitigation purposes. Specific to the Sandy Gully, yes, there has been an accumulation of detritus material in the Sandy Gully over the years. We did try to, we went to tender to have public interest for someone to spend their money to take out the material and use the material, because there is some value to the material as fill. So in the last 4 years, we did try on 2 occasions to see if we could get some public interest in undertaking that. Regrettably, we didn't get no one bit. We're trying that again, but in addition to that, we've recently signed off on, I think, how much was it? I think we're going to be spending about $6 million to undertake some cleaning ourselves. No, and that will be in the vicinity of the 2 bridges. There's a bridge on Spanish Town Road over the gully, and there's a bridge on Washington Boulevard over the gully. Now, we have a special interest in preserving the bridges, because to the extent that there is an accumulation of debris within the vicinity of the bridges, whenever the gullies are in spate, it does pose an extraordinary challenge. So we are going to be cleaning the gully to that extent. But again, the total cost to clean the Sandy Gully in the manner that we like to be able to clean it is a tremendously high figure. Yeah.
Thank you so much. A quick follow-up. So let's do a quick follow-up and then we come to Mahiri.
Do you have a time frame as to when this work will begin on the Sandy Gully?
Oh, this week. Yeah. We already programmed it and it's in train.
All right. Mahiri?
Good morning, Mahiri Stewart here from Nationwide News. Allow me to switch gears over to the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project. We had an issue recently where 10 contractors came out saying that they were owed around $2 billion due to unsettled claims from Czech. And we had them on Nationwide at 5, and they were bemoaning the situation. They said there was a meeting in 2022 with the Prime Minister and Mr. Hunter where he made promises that he would make moves to fix the clauses within those contracts. Has there been any conversations held with them so far regarding the status of you fixing these clauses?
Thank you very much. I think I'll take that one, Mary. I have heard the concerns of the contractors, and I have had the opportunity to meet with some of them. I still have a few left to meet with. I have also done a tour of the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project to see for myself what are some of the issues that evolved and what could have caused this impasse between the contractor and the subcontractors. The first point I want to make clear is that the contract is between the subcontractors and China Harbour, not between the government and the subcontractors. And that's a very important point to make. However, the government has a vested interest in ensuring that our local contractors do not feel unfairly done, and that our main contractor does not feel unfairly done either. So what we can say, and I can't speak too much about it because it's a matter between parties who are governed by a contract, is that significant efforts are being made by the parties concerned to resolve their issues amicably to ensure that the matter doesn't continue into perpetuity. I have received assurances from all the parties of their willingness to amicably resolve. And that's something that I, as Minister, and the National Works Agency is monitoring to ensure that that takes place. But you would appreciate that there is privity of contract between parties, and as the government, I have to be very cautious in how I intervene in contracts between parties in any attempt to resolve the issue. But we're making efforts to bring them together.
Thank you, Minister. NWA, thank you so much as well. I believe questions on Sparks were very, very comprehensive, including the FAQs that you had in place. So I don't think there are questions about Sparks. Do we close this segment up? Oh, all right. Ms. Small has another one for you.
I just wanted to clarify something. You said that 5 international companies were successful in the bidding to...
No, there are 2 stages in the process. Well, there are more than 2 stages, but we're at now we're about to enter the second stage. The first stage was we advertised internationally based on our procurement process and invited companies from Jamaica. Well, not invited, we opened up the opportunity for companies from Jamaica all over the world to look at what we have on offer preliminarily and state whether they have the pre-qualification criteria to engage in the project. 8 companies engaged in that process, and of the 8, 5 of them fulfilled the criteria based on the criteria that was set out in the tendering process at that stage. Now that the 8 have been assessed, 5 have been found to qualify, and now these 5 will be given the opportunity to bid on the 4 packages that are a part of the Spark program.
These 5 companies are international companies?
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
All right, so I think there are no more questions for Minister Morgan and NWA. Thank you so much, gentlemen, and very comprehensive again. Minister?
Yes, thank you, and thank you again, Minister Morgan, and the team from the NWA. And we now move on to Dr. Ingleton, where we're going to be talking about the Summer of Skills. Skills training, as we all know, is very important to the government. It's an area we've been focusing quite a bit on. And Dr. Ingleton is joined by many persons from HART, and I'm going to have her come up and introduce the team and also talk through the program.
Thank you so much, Minister. Good morning, everyone. It is indeed my pleasure to introduce the team we have here today from the Heart NSTA Trust. We have Dr. Shauna Newsom-Myrie, who will be speaking to us about the granular aspects of the Summer of Skills exciting program that we want all the parents in Jamaica to hear about, all the teachers in the primary schools, the high schools, individuals at home. You want to do something for summer. We're going to be speaking to you about that today. We have with us Mrs. Julia Smiley Green, who is our Director of Marketing and Communications. We have Ms. Ranique Roden, who is our Director for Community Engagement. And of course, we have Ms. Marsha Grant, who is our Director for Prior Learning Assessment, Mobile Assessment, and all things that we do out there in Montego Bay to ensure that individuals are properly enrolled in the trust and receive their training and subsequent certification. Why is it that we are introducing a Summer of Skills program? I really want to anchor this because it is important for us to understand that the Heart NSTA Trust is one of the critical pillars in Jamaica's economic development. And being that, we must provide vocational, lifelong learning, and employability skills that pivot the economy towards productivity. But not only towards productivity, but also higher value added activities in critical sectors such as tourism, construction, agriculture, manufacturing, and engineering. The trust, of course, achieves its mandate through very systematic and robust processes, and one of the strategies that we use to anchor our work is the triple access strategy. Now, this strategy sets out 3 priority areas to focus the organization. The first one is enhancing the quality of training and certification towards improving Jamaica's global ranking in TVET. And right now we sit at about 36, and we really want to bring that all the way up so that we can, of course, be a force to reckon with across the world. The second one is increasing services to youth at risk. And the third one is strengthening the TVET ecosystem. The Summer of Skills initiative is linked to Triple Access 3, which is strengthening the TVET ecosystem. And we do this through reach and participation. So as I said before, it's summer. We have the children at home. We want to expose them to what the Heart Trust has to offer. We want to expose our primary school-age children to the world of skills so that they can have a better appreciation of TVET. And when it is that they have to make a choice, if they need to, it will be seamless because they would understand the fundamental underpinnings of skills and where this can take them. So I'm just going to speak briefly about just 2 objectives of the program. The first one is the industry-relevant training. So we're going to be providing training in high-demand sectors, as I spoke to earlier. There's welding, cabinet making, cosmetology, event coordination, cake baking, minister, and decorating, guest room services, tiling, and all of these align with market needs and trends. And then, of course, there's the incalculable piece, the personal growth. That investment, certainly, it's not something that we can really calculate. What is it that individuals get from being at the Heart NSTA Trust? We will be able to foster confidence, teamwork, and leadership skills through interactive workshops and collaborative projects with all of Jamaica, right across the 14 parishes. So at this time, I'm going to ask Dr. Newsom-Myrie to join me. She's going to speak to us about the program structure, the duration, the weekly schedule, how is it that you sign up, the target audience, how to access our services, and certainly what the outcome will be, because at Heart Trust, we evaluate every single program so that we can understand the impact and communicate that to Jamaica. So over to you, Dr. Newsom-Myrie.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ingleton. So as a part of our objective for this year, as it relates to our Summer of Skills program, and I'm very excited about this program because we know what skills training can do for Jamaica. And so we are seeking to develop the skills of our Jamaicans, equipping the participants with the practical skills and the various technical skills that are needed for them to be able to become employable and also entrepreneurship activities. A key focus of our summer program this year is also our cultural appreciation. We have recognized that we are losing, especially for the younger generation. And so this is an opportunity for our young people to be engaged in cultural programs. And so through the creatives, we are going to be engaging in programs such as dance hall, dance, the creative artistic expressions, and so on. And key also to the summer program objective is also the innovation and technology. And we know that technology is really driving the world, and Jamaica is ahead of the game. And so in areas such as robotics, this is a critical area that we're going to be focusing on in terms of introducing our primary and high school students to these new and emerging programs that we will be offering across, and we are offering across the Heart NSTA Trust. And so how is this program going to be structured? So the program will be offered in institutions right across Heart. And we have 28 institutions in terms of Heart institutions, and some of our community projects will also be engaged in some of these programs. So we're looking between the months of July and August, 3-week blocks. So 3 weeks in July, 3 weeks in August, and we know we have some holiday periods in between. The weekly schedule will be determined by the locations, and so participants, when they make their registration, will be able to get that information from the particular location in which these skills will be offered. Critical to the outcome in terms of the program structure is also how the program will be structured. We're looking at project-based learning. So for example, the creatives, we're expecting that a production will be done at the end just to bring together everything that would have been learned during the program. If it's a cake baking and decorating, then we want to have a theme event where people can showcase the skills that they would have learned during the period that they would have been engaged. Who are we targeting? We're targeting persons. You know that the Heart Trust NSTA goes for 17 and over, but this year we're focusing our attention in terms of our TVET integration and expanding our access to our primary school level and even those high school students who are below the age of 17, because the key is that we want to give them a good knowledge base of what TVET is all about from early. So as they make their career choices, they can know that skills training is a viable option that they can also choose. We are also targeting individuals who are interested in acquiring practical skills for employment and entrepreneurship. And I may add too that at the Heart NSTA Trust, we also have some funding programs that are available to persons who want to get into entrepreneurship. We're also looking for those who are passionate about the creatives, the cultural expressions, and the technological innovation as well. So how can persons access these programs? We have parish offices all across the island. Every parish has a parish office. Some parishes have 2-3 institutions, and so persons can access from any of our locations. But of course, we are also online in terms of our website, the Heart website, Heart NSTA Trust. Once you go to our website, and we have put in a special link for our summer programs. So once person go on our website, they are able to go on the tab that says they go on programs, and when you click on programs, you will be taken to the list of offerings, and specific there is the summer of skills, so you don't have to go searching all over. It's right there. And you can also focus your attention on the institution that is closest to you to see which program will be offered in your vicinity. And of course, our parish offices and institutions will be there with the staff members to provide the kind of guidance through our career counselors and program coordinators to ensure that persons are enrolling in the appropriate programs. So how are we going to tell the world? This is the start of it, yes? And so as soon as we're out of here today, all our sites will be live and persons will be able to start applying through our social media platforms, flyers, newspaper ads, We are looking at having an interview on Smile Jamaica coming up very soon, our radio placements, our partnerships, both with our local community groups and also including our church groups and police youth clubs and all of those entities. We are going to be promoting these programs through these additional media houses. So when you go on, you'll also see our barcodes on our flyers. You can just scan. You know, everything is technologically driven these days. And so we are staying in touch with the technology. And so in a nutshell, that's what it's going to be all about. At the end of the training, however, of course, we want to evaluate to see what the outcome is. And so participant feedback surveys will be done to evaluate and assess effectiveness, and also our skills assessment and certification, because that is also important. Persons want to know that when they are completed, they have something to show that they have developed a skill. And so we will be offering our job certification, as well as for the younger participants, like our primary school students, we will be offering them a certificate of participation to showcase the skills that they would have developed over the period. In addition to our Summer of Skill programs, we also are encouraging persons who already have their skills not certified, that we will also facilitate this process during the summer period. Over to you, Doc.
Thank you. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you. Thank you to the HEART team for this Summer of Skills program. And I know it wasn't that long ago that we had a conversation, MD, on this, and it's good to see it happening, and we really ask you to help us to promote it and to get our children involved in these programs. These are wonderful initiatives. It's not just, you know, a regular summer program. You are learning robotics, and this is being introduced to our young students across Jamaica. It's across the length and breadth of HEART. And so this is really good, and we look forward to the success of it, and we're open to any questions you may have in relation to HEART.
All right, thank you, Minister, and congratulations to the HEART team, a comprehensive presentation a while ago. Let's start off then this segment of questions with Nationwide.
Good morning. Mahiri from Nationwide here. Just wanted to know if I could ask Dr. Ingleton a bit about the CARE initiative that was announced by Prime Minister Andrew Holness a couple months back. Just speak on how you believe HEART will be ready to take on the initiative when it gets underway.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to speak about CARE. That is another big thing that we're going to be doing this year for Jamaica. Certainly, we're going through some processes right now in terms of approvals, and as soon as those are completed, we'll be implementing the CARE. The trust is ready. We have, as I indicated before, the trust has 29 institutions, 7 training-based enterprises, 80 community training interventions, and 6 regional offices. We have the staff complement that we need to ensure that the CARE is impactful. We have the training that we need, the expertise that we need, and we will also be partnering with key stakeholders to ensure the success of the CARE. So, as was announced by our Prime Minister a couple of months ago, we are going to be paying the transportation for the individuals certainly who can't come into the program because of that barrier. We're also going to be paying a stipend to those individuals, and we're going to be exposing them to the different pathways that they may need so that they can contribute to the economic development of the country, as well as experience that personal and professional advancement. So we're very, very ready for the CARE, and as soon as the approvals are out, Minister will be here talking about it, how to get in and what the progress is, for sure.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ingleton. Ms. Moore, I believe, coming to you. Okay.
Hi, good morning again. Sashana Small from the Gleaner. My question is actually for Dr. Dana Morris. Who is the new head of PICA?
I actually need to check on that. I don't have the name. I didn't get a new name from the minister, but as soon as I can get a call done and give you that information before we leave here.
Well, Minister, it seems that our presentations this morning were quite comprehensive, especially regarding those frequently asked questions from the Spark team, and then from the Heart team, really very comprehensive. Thank you so much. And thanks to members of the media. I did say Observer was here. I believe it's JIS, not the Observer, but I know that we are streaming online, so we thank our media partners as well who are watching online.
All right, thank you very much, Naomi, and thank you for all the questions. Just to, in wrapping up, just noting that the Diaspora Conference is next week. It begins on Sunday, and Hart wants you to know that they will be there demonstrating all of the fantastic programs they have for or young and not so young people across Jamaica. They have 600 persons that have been registered. That was when we checked yesterday. It was 600 registrations, and a lot of our Jamaican, the members of the public sector, PICA, which we were asked about, Hart will be there, TAJ will be there, everyone will be there working with the diaspora, explaining what our policies are, and a lot of ministers will be there for that event. And so that is something that we're looking forward to. And we are at 9:56. I think we were very efficient with time today, and I want to thank Minister Morgan and his team, even though he had to leave. And I want to thank Dr. Taneisha Ingleton and the entire hard-working Heart team, and actually all of our public servants across Jamaica who have worked so hard to bring us to where we are in terms of our country's development. And we will see you next week for another postcab. And I should note, we're trying to get PostCab to be at the Diaspora Conference next week. We're working through the details to take PostCab out of this room and take it closer to where some of the action is taking place. So see you next week at the Diaspora Conference.
The theme for this year is expanding our horizons, respecting the journey through career development.
We are now in the parish of Clarendon, visiting the Frankfield Primary and Infant School, where we will observe the quality and commitment of faculty and staff as they showcase the different types of career options students can explore.
We have been doing Career Day over the years, and it surely has an impact on the students as these students leave from here getting the experience and knowing that for the future they really have the opportunity to explore the different careers. And today we have several different areas at school.
Frankfield introduced their students to a wide range of professions, including makeup, farming, medicine, and carpentry, which became the most popular amongst the youngsters.
We have students who are talented and not that academically inclined, and so we want to explore this area so that persons who have the skills can get the necessary information that will impact their choice in the future.
So what it takes to go into carpentry, well, you have to have a mindset, because it's not an easy road. It's very hard, because to prepare the lumber, that is one, to get it the right way to perfection, to put the job together. Because sometimes to build a chair, it's not an easy task to build a chair. Chair and a picture frame, it's one of the hardest things to make right now.
Following their comprehensive carpentry instruction, the students learned how to use their imagination to construct the item they want. They also learned that good things take time and that profit would inevitably follow.
It's a good business. You can survive off it. Make a lot of money out of it. You just have to get to work.
A concept that piqued the interest of one of his students, Odane Smith, who is eager to take on the profession in the future.
Well, I honestly believe that I have a lot of creativity inside of me, and being a carpenter will let me show that creativity.
There are many reasons why principals should have career day at their school. First of all, it exposes the students to a plethora of careers that are available. It's a day also when it relaxes the student. They get the opportunity to dress up in the career of their choice. And it also gives them guidance as it relates to
making an informed decision when the time comes for them to decide which career they want to go in. Separate and apart from that, it also helps the community economically. For example, dressmakers are able to, dressmakers and tailors will make the clothes for the students. You'll have the farmers coming in to sell their produce and other little things like that, so it is very beneficial.
Thank you for coming, and I hope you see a career of your choice. Bye.